with Kemen Hills. It's Wednesday.
It is.
We are in the middle of the week. And I'll tell you what, it's cold.
It is very chilly.
And you're from California.
And I'm from California, and I layer up like I am overly prepared for the cold at any time.
Like, I know I have a jacket that literally goes from like right here, so just my eyes, all the way down to the floor.
Oh, I do not have one of those yet, but I wear
amazing.
I wear the thermal leggings.
Oh, good.
I have the thermal undershirt on, as well as a sweater, as well as the jacket.
Yeah.
Like I do the whole 9 yards.
Well, we're in it right now. I mean, it is like, and this is the worst time of year if you live, in colder regions. So everyone else that, you're looking out your window at palm trees, like, whatever. But this is the worst time because when you're in, like, the holiday season, it's
festive. It feels festive.
Yep. And then everything after that, it's just cold and gray and dreary, and it's hard to get yourself to go outside. And so we're pushing through, though.
And Groundhog Day was last week.
Didn't the groundhog
and
die?
he saw his, I don't know if he died.
I thought the groundhog died. My husband told me the groundhog died, which he might have just been saying because he knows I'm an emotional person, and he might have just been messing with me. We're going to have to fact check this.
Yeah, we'll have to fact check that. I did know that the groundhog saw his I do know that the groundhog saw his shadow, so we do have 6 more weeks of winter, and I was honestly devastated.
I feel like he always sees
I
his
know.
shadow.
And you're like, well, clearly winter is going to go through middle of March. Like, that feels normal.
Yeah, that does feel normal.
So,
woof. I'm over it.
but we're here for the cold, guys.
With our warm cup of coffee.
Hot coffee and hot topics coming at you.
Coming up next, actually. Mm-hmm. So let's get started. All right. We are going to be talking about 4 of the most important Social Security rules to know. Dun, dun, dun. First one, benefits are based on personal earnings. So, okay, apparently it is a myth that everyone earns the same in Social Security, and I was definitely unaware that there was Social Security folklore. But now I know. So we are Mythbusters. Yeah. Welcome to Social Security Mythbusters. So it is based on your earnings. If you earned more money over... Oh, there was a fact with this. It was, yes, your payments are based on earnings from your 35 most profitable years. So...
I learned something new. I knew it was based off of your, how much you were earning while you were working, but I thought it was the breadth of however long you worked.
I thought that was nice.
But it's
like,
nice that it's
nice. They're taking your most profitable years and they are, using those so that you can get more bang for your buck with your Social Security. This is good news.
Yeah.
But we also learned,
filing early can shrink your benefits for life. If you take it earlier than your full retirement age, also known as FRA.
I know, I was going to get into it, but y'all have heard it enough. I'm like, unless you work for Social Security, like, are you saying it that much that you aren't able to just say the whole world? What does it stand for? It stands for
full retirement age.
Yeah.
Well, I think the thing is that Social Security used to start at 65 for everybody, and now it depends on when you were born.
Oh, it ranges between 65 and 67,
how
right?
early your or what age your full retirement age is at.
Got
yes.
it.
So those of us, we will have it later.
Full retirement age.
Our full retirement age will be later
FRA.
than our parents. Mm-hmm. FRA.
Your FRA. I'll never remember that. I'm just going to say it. Sorry. I can't get on board with it. Can't.
So if you take it earlier than your full retirement age, you do receive less money each month overall.
That's right. Yes. So if you wait, and if you wait longer, you end up getting more money a month as well. Mm-hmm. So if you wait till you're 70, you're going to be getting more money than you would if you took it when you're meant to, right? At like 65, between 65 and 67.
On your FRA.
Right. Whatever yours is. It's very personalized. Whatever your story is.
But I also thought it was interesting. This was another, I don't know if fun fact is the word for it, but I definitely had a learning. I didn't realize that you could get Social Security benefits even if you hadn't worked.
Oh, yes.
And then reading it, I was like, oh, this makes sense. But it was definitely something where I was surprised.
Yeah. And it would be interesting too, like what are some examples of people who have never worked?
So
Unless
I think
it's inheritance, or maybe you're married, and
I think it like probably these rules were set up when it was a single income family.
Right.
So it's if you either are married to or divorced from somebody who has Social Security, you also get a portion of that.
which is I thought that was interesting because it's sort of incentive to get married, because I know nowadays, not everyone like wants to get or feels like they need to get married, which totally makes sense as well. But if your family is set up where you have one partner who is, providing, and the other one is at home, like, at home taking care of maybe kids or just the house or whatever it is, if you get married, do the paperwork, you can then, when you retire, collect half of what your partner made.
Yes.
Yes. Or your ex. So you could even get married and get divorced just to get that money. If you don't want to be married. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, tips and tricks from Kim. Don't come to me for advice.
But I think overall it's learning how to maximize your Social Security benefits.
Yeah.
And every time, and these tips and tricks are definitely individual, right?
Yeah, like some people can't wait, and some people need it sooner than later.
Exactly.
Right? So there's incentive, probably because they're hoping that you'll croak. They're like, oh yeah, we'll give you more money if you wait till you're 95. But So yes, the incentive does cap at 70. So you can only wait till 70. After that, it's just all the same. But soon enough, it'll be 95.
Right. By the time we're collecting.
You'll get millions of dollars a month if you start at 106. Everyone's like, oh. Our next hot topic is the state of your parents' estate.
This one, it was an article from Morgan Stanley. I actually really liked the state of your parents' estate.
Yeah.
Also felt very relevant when I was reading it. Just so it was they were talking about how to ask your parents questions to make sure they're set up for whatever, how they want their legacy to be distributed. Yeah. And some of these was like, oh, I need to have this conversation with my parents.
Yeah.
I've had some of these conversations, but they haven't gone anywhere.
Right.
So we need to continue to ask these questions.
I feel like with this one, it's a bit of a generational thing that's going on. I did have a chat with my mom. I didn't get that much information. And it was funny, I felt uncomfortable sort of asking because I sort of knew that it wasn't a comfortable thing to ask to her.
Right.
Unfortunately. I don't think it won't be the same for me, with my child. But, she did tell me, she was like, that's not something that was ever discussed in like my house with like her parents, like that's not something you would ever like disclose, like those details. Like it's a sort of a private thing. I don't know why, but I don't think it was talked about, and not for everyone, but I do think generationally, my parents' age and up, it wasn't maybe something that was discussed so openly.
Right.
But it is part of your, children's future planning. So giving them a heads up as to what to expect can be really helpful.
Well, and so one of the things the questions that they say to ask is, have you spoken to a lawyer about an estate plan? So to make sure that your parents have one set up. And I think it doesn't necessarily mean, and I agree with you, I think generationally, like our parents just don't want to talk about it.
Right.
It wasn't talked about with them. it was like you kind of got a surprise if you actually got some money from a relative who died.
Right.
And for me, when I want my parents to have their trust set up, it's because I want them to be able to make these decisions and have it in writing instead of it being decided for you afterwards.
Right.
And not only with, whatever happens to their money, it's not because I want it. It's maybe they want to give it all to charity, and that's fine, but just make sure that it's set up that way.
Right. And because they talk about in case of illness or incapacitation.
Right.
Which you obviously can't plan for that. So, I mean, I think that's a good, question to pose. Just saying, like, what if this were to happen? Do you feel like everything is in order? So, like, your assets go where you want them to go, so that someone else isn't in control of what you've, accrued in your lifetime.
Right. And do you have the right person set up to make those decisions for you while you are able to think clearly?
Right.
I think is also a really important question to ask.
Yeah, because we don't know how our lives are going to play out and how our health will be. And yeah, it is good. Again, it's coming back to preparedness, isn't it?
Yeah.
Being financially prepared. And I think with this, it's just not a fun topic. It's not a fun. End of life topics are not fun. And I wish it was more normalized to talk about it, because then I think we'd all feel a little more comfortable. But there's it's not something you want to talk about, really.
No,
you don't want to think about it. Like, I don't want to think about that stuff.
And especially when you're closer, probably to that age. I mean, yes, you can die at any time, but the likelihood, if you have a healthy and there's no accidents, like, you will live until your 80s, 90s, 100s these days.
Yep.
And when you're closer to that age, maybe it's a little bit more daunting to think about it.
Yeah.
Because it is more immediate.
Well,
whereas setting this up
real,
when you're in your 30s or your 40s, you might change your mind about what your trust looks like or your state looks like.
We always have to remember to update our trusts.
Update it.
Because things change.
Things change.
Your assets change.
Yeah. But at least you have it set. You have something there.
Yeah.
That at one time, that's what you wanted.
Exactly. Yep.
If you don't update it, that's on you. But you had it done at one point, so that's the important part.
That is the important part.
At least in my book. I'm not an estate planning attorney, so, don't take my advice necessarily.
Tips from Hillary. We have all these new shows coming in. Well, I guess, that's it for Hot Topics today. So we're going to take you to a commercial break. We will be right back, and we're going to do Healthy, Wealthy Wednesday.
Healthy, Wealthy Wednesday.
And we're gonna learn about today's episode of The Business of.
All right.
See you in a sec. Welcome back. And we are going to talk about ways to take care of ourselves, our minds, when we are in a financial crisis or just in life, right?
Yeah, I think Healthy, Wealthy Wednesdays are about the small things that you can do to put your mindset about money and about specifically your money in a better place.
Financial
wellness, so that you feel it's taking the stress off of your plate, hopefully, when it comes to money. We're all stressed out about a myriad of things, but hopefully by doing small things each week, you can really take the stress off of the money aspect in your life. So today's tip is to set up automatic payments for your bills. And if you don't want to do automatic payments, to set up a reminder to pay your bills on time. So I literally have a calendar invite for my credit cards, and I pay them all on one day. Like, I go into each account and I make sure that they get paid before they're due, so that you're not paying any late fees.
Yes.
There's no point in paying late fees, people.
No, there isn't. It's wasted money, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm about automatic payment, if you can.
Yeah, if you can.
That is my saving grace, honestly.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. But if you aren't at that place yet, then just set in reminders that you're making sure you're paying things before they're due.
Yeah. Well, because if it's you just have to do it once.
Yeah.
You put the reminder in so that it always reminds you. You just have to do it once. Because it's always adding something to your plate of things to do. But at least with the reminder, it's like, just do that for yourself. and it's going to alleviate some of that stress of scrambling to get those things done.
Right, and stress of like, ooh, did I pay that bill
Did I
today?
pay that bill?
Did I do that? Ooh, I don't know.
It's hard to remember those things
Yeah.
with life happening, you know? And
Exactly.
yeah, I'm taking this advice.
So it feels like a little bit of a small tip, but in the long term, it's something that just makes your life easier and takes that stress off of your plate.
It's the little things. It really is, because the little things add up. So even last week, it's just, you know, taking one thing and making that a little bit easier on you, and then those little things are going to add up, and you're suddenly going to be financially stress-free.
Yay!
We'll get you there on our Healthy Wealthy Wednesday. I'll tell you what. Next, we're going to be talking about today's episode of The Business of. Tell us all about it.
So today on The Business Of, I talk with Dave Panino from Logic Source. And he is such a great guy, and he's super passionate about what Logic Source does. And they help companies find cost savings and help them with their productivity levels by taking some of those things off of their plate that the companies don't want to work on themselves. So like, for example, during the pandemic, they were able to buy PPE in huge bulk amounts and help pass on those savings to their clients who needed the PPE. But if they had bought them on their own, they would have been paying a higher rate because they're only buying 1 million units, whereas Logic Source was buying 10 million units, so the price was a little bit less, and passing on those cost savings to their customers.
See, it's like all of these jobs that you don't know exist.
Right.
And that's why I love your show. I'm like, what? Someone does that? That's really cool.
I mean, and that's only one like small part of their business.
Of what they do, okay.
But I think it's really interesting. They're moving into IT and really creating software to help they're creating software to help companies do this using the data that Logic Source has already amassed by doing this for so many other people.
Is this a new business? Do you know?
He's been doing it for 13 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So,
I'm sold. I'm watching. Like, this is very interesting. I've not heard of this before. It's really cool.
And I think it's it's a very kind of niche industry.
Yeah.
But I think he's really found a place where the company is super helpful.
Yep.
And
he's helping people.
Yeah. His business is growing.
Yeah.
And
that's the win-win. That's what you want to do, right? You feel like you're giving back, but you're also like, building your own business at the same time.
And he's super passionate about the team that he's built and how his team does such a great job at helping their customers and really putting the customers first. So I think it's a really interesting interview to hear him speak so passionately about it.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. It's nice like talking to people who really love what they do. Yeah. It's like when we had Browns in suits in last week. Those guys, they're so excited and your show is so great. I love seeing people creating things and being passionate about what they're doing. And they're also helping people, Yeah. I think that like helps aid in the passion when you know that you're giving something back and you're seeing the benefit of this thing that you've thought up, Well, I will be tuning in, and I hope everyone else does tonight as well.
Yep.
All right, we're going to go to a quick commercial break, and we will be right back, and I will tell you all about the shows airing today. Welcome back. Today on Estate Planning 101, we will learn when it is the best time to give beneficiaries money. They touch on passing over your money while you are still alive, and they also discuss what age you should give it to your children should you pass away. Of course, The Business Of will be airing today, which we already covered, so be sure to tune in. Today on The Blockchain Interviews, Dave Weiskopf will be interviewing Fred Thiel of Marathon Digital, a Bitcoin trading company that is publicly trading and changing how the world views Bitcoin. Join Dan today for this great interview. And that's it for our show today. Thank you so much for joining us. We will see you again tomorrow for another cup of coffee with Kemen Hills. And where can you watch all these great shows?
Join us on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, or on your mobile device via iOS or Android.
That's right. See you tomorrow.